53 years. That's how long the New York Knicks have waited since 1973. And on Saturday night in San Antonio, in a game that was tied multiple times in the final 2 minutes, they did it again. Jalen Brunson scored 45 points. He hit the go-ahead floater with about a minute left. The Knicks win Game 5, 94-90. They are NBA champions. Their third title in franchise history.
Welcome to the bonus on SportsTalk Media. I'm Nate with Glow. Episode 3. The series is over. The Knicks win it 4-1. And the story of how they got there is even bigger than the trophy itself. Let's get into it. Here's the pattern that defined this entire series. And it happened one more time in Game 5. But this one was even crazier than the rest. The Spurs opened the game on an 18-8 run and led by 10 after the first quarter. The Knicks shot just 4 of 22 in that first quarter, their worst quarter of the entire season. Spurs ended it to their largest lead of the game, 16 points. Only the second quarter, halftime, 42-37 Spurs.
And, this game stayed close the rest of the way. The Spurs led from 6-5 in the first quarter all the way until 83-81, with about 4 minutes left in the fourth. Karl Anthony Towns fouled out at 88-85. The Knicks put together a 17-4 run over a 6.5 minutes to take the 88-85 lead. And then the Spurs tied it again, making it 88-88 with just over a minute left. The Knicks' largest lead in the entire game was only 5 points. This was a dogfight to the final possession.
It was a real dogfight. And then Brunson, with his score tied 88 and about a minute left, he hit the go-ahead floater. Final score 94-90. Brunson finished with 45 points, 14 of 27 shooting, 51.9%, 4 of 7 from 3, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. It was a plus 10 in this game. 13 of those points came in a row in the fourth quarter. The guy was unstoppable. At a point in the game, I was thinking, double team this guy. He was killing the Spurs by himself. And that set a new Knicks Finals record. The old one was 38 by Willis Reed in Game 3 of the 1970 series. Unanimous Finals MVP. All 11 folders. I know we went back and forth on who we thought the MVP was going to be. But I thought you and I both agreed it was going to be Brunson unanimously because he came to play. Like everybody else didn't show up. And one more thing against that, midway through the half, Brunson rolled his ankle on the uncalled flagrant foul from Wembanyama and played the final quarter and a half hurt. He closed out his championship on a rolled ankle. His quote afterward, I have no words. It's everything I ever dreamed of.
It's funny though. On the other end, Wemby had a monster game defensively. Along with his 18 points, he had 14 rebounds. He had 5 blocks before halftime alone. He averaged 27.8 points per game for the series, the highest scoring average ever for a losing finals participant, which is really sad. And then Kat fouled out for the Knicks on a day like that. And all the other Knicks players had an off night. This was Brunson's
They
game,
did.
full stop. Wemby left absolutely everything on the floor, if you ask me.
Well, anyway, but I thought we could have done better, but yeah, the season's over. 3 years, let us think it for a second before we get into the things. Because 3 years, the Knicks did it for their third championship. Let's kind of look at our takes for the finals. Let's have take one. Brunson's final run belongs in the conversation with the all-time great finals performances. Right. If you look at everything he did, I thought they did great. So for me, I'm going to go with early reality, no hesitation. I thought it's an early reality. Brunson is good. For 5 points to close out the title, he joins Michael Jordan, Giannis, and Bob Pettit as the only players ever to score 45 points, 45 plus points in the finals clinching win, 45 plus points. And that was the first since Jordan in 98 to do it on the road. He was on the road. He wasn't at home. They were in San Antonio. And if you look at, Brunson, he's 6'1", the second shortest finals MVP in history behind Isaiah Thomas. And he rolled his ankle on an uncalled flagrant foul from Wembanyama and played the final quarter and a half hurt. Brunson closed out a 50-yard championship drought on a bad ankle. 32, 36, 45 in the last 3 games. Mike Brown called him a freaking 1A, an MVP candidate, unanimous finals MVP.
Oh well. I'm not going to take anything away from the moment, that's for Brunson. What he did was special, especially in game 5, a closeout game. But I want to add the context that makes it more interesting, not less. His true shooting percentage for this series was 53.6%. That is actually his 4th least efficient series in 15 playoff runs. This wasn't a brilliant shooting series for Brunson. Let's be honest. It was a volume and willpower series for him because most of the shots were, he got a lot of free throws in that game 5. He put a lot of people, in foul trouble. This, it wasn't like he missed a ton. He missed a ton of shots, but he kept shooting anyway, and enough of them went in, at the right time. Because they say if you don't shoot, you don't score, right? So he kept putting them away. That's a different kind of greatness than efficiency. So let's not, get things twisted. And honestly, I think it might be more impressive, not less. He didn't need to be perfect. If you ask me, he needed to be relentless, which he was.
And that's a great point. And it actually strengthens the case. In all 5 games of this series, the score was within 5 points in the final 2 minutes. In those moments, the ones that decide championships, Brunson shot 6 for 12 and committed 0 turnovers. 0. He also led the whole finals with 22 clutch points, the most by any player since Dirk Nowitzki in 2011. He wasn't always efficient over 48 minutes, but when the game was actually on the line, he was perfect with the ball and the best player on the floor every time.
It's an early reality from me too, Dan. This belongs in the conversation. So just taking, I take 2 in this series. I want to find out, is this like an overreaction or or early reality. The Spurs inexperience, not a talent gap. You know, is that's the real story of the whole series. Early reality for me, and this is the start that I think defines everything. The Spurs led by double digits in the first quarter of every single game of this series. Mind blowing. Double digits. They held the lead for roughly 70% of the entire series, surprisingly. And they won one game. One game. Mick Johnson, their coach, said it himself. He said, like after the game, he actually came out and said, we weren't ready to win an NBA championship. The better team won. We did a lot of things. We did a lot of good things, and we didn't finish the job. So for me, this is not a talent gap. The Spurs were ahead almost the whole time. That's a young team that hadn't learned how to close games yet.
I couldn't agree less with you. I completely agree. And here is why that's actually the most important storyline going to the next season. Not this one. Next season, NBA draft is coming up, off season, and then next season is going to be here before you even know it. A team that leads 70% of an NBA finals and loses 4-1 isn't a team that needs to be rebuilt. It's a team that needs to learn one specific thing: closing. Wemby averaged 27 plus points in his first finals at 22 years old. Castle and Harper both had moments. The brutal decisions. Wemby's foul in game 2, the final possession breakdown in game 4, those are correctable. Those are experience problems, not talent problems.
Which is exactly why I'm not even mad about Spurs in 7 being wrong. Remember, I said Spurs in 7.
Yeah, he did.
I'd argue the margin between these teams was almost nothing. The better team won at the end of the day, which Mitch Johnson, said himself. But better here might just mean has been here before. The Knicks have Brunson's playoff scar tissue. The Spurs don't yet. They've never experienced this. But at this point, after this series, they will.
Yeah. On the flip side, congratulations to the Knicks organization. 53 years is an entire generation of fans who never saw this.
Oh, yeah.
My brain called it one of the great moments in New York sports history. That's not hyperbole. No, that's not hyperbole. I don't think so. Yeah. Well, let's wrap the series. 5 games, every single one with a double-digit sports lead at some point. They led by double digits in the first quarter of all 5. The Knicks won 4-1 by mastering the heart of the comeback. Game 1, down 14. Game 4, down 29. Game 5, a genuine slugfest, where the lead changed hands repeatedly in the final minutes before Brunson's floater sealed it. The 2-game stretch we covered in episode 3. So that was in episode 2. We talked about games 3 and 4 in episode 2. Yeah, we did that. Game 3 Sports win at MSG. Game 4, that just come back in finance history. That was the turning point. After that, the Spurs never led the series again.
And individually, for me, Brunson, the unanimous Finals MVP, 45 points in the clincher. OG and Anobi's tipping will be replayed for decades. They're already doing, they're already doing some ads and everything for him, without tipping. As a matter of fact, he said he actually wanted to dunk it.
Really?
But yeah,
That's
he said,
interesting.
but when he couldn't do that, he kind of just tipped it. Wemby, he had 27 plus points at 22 in his first finals. That's not a consolation prize. That's a marker for what's coming. Harper and Castle both showed real moments, like you earlier mentioned. The Spurs core is going to be back. I can promise you that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there will be. Let's do the scorecard in this series. Episode 1, I believe I went for Knicks in 6. Episode 2, I think after the episode 2, I moved it to Knicks in 5. Even though I wanted them to win game 5 so that this could go 6 or go 7 as we wanted. It was Knicks in 5. So I'd take that. Pretty good. I thought it was pretty good in this series. A little bit.
Well, I remember I said Spurs in 7 the entire way. I'm sorry I was wrong. Flat out. But I'll say this. Every argument I made was built on real moments. Game 2 was a missed buzzer beater. Game 4 was the largest comeback in finals history. The margins were tiny. I was wrong about the result, I'll admit. I don't think I was wrong about how close it was, in my opinion.
That's fair and honest. Honestly, that's the story of the series. Tiny margins, huge outcomes. Congrats to get to the next organization. 3 years, long overdue.
Yeah, long overdue.
That's episode 3 of the bonus on SportsTalk Media. The Knicks are NBA champions for the first time since 1973. Congratulations to that organization and everyone who's waited for 3 years for this.
I'll tell you, especially for the biggest Knicks fan, Spike Lee, who has had an amazing year in his sporting fandom. Both Arsenal in football.
Don't bring Arsenal to this, I'm sorry.
And especially the Knicks have won titles after very long waits. The finals are over now, but we are not going anywhere. The draft is coming. There's free agency coming. There's trades. The NBA offseason is just about getting started. And so we are. So are we. So I'd like for you to subscribe so you don't miss anything.
Drop a comment. What's the one moment from this series you remember the most? I'm Nate.
And I'm Glow. This is the bonus.
Thank you.
Thank you.